Today I'm joined by Tristan Pottas, Chief Executive of First Development Resources. Tristan, thanks for coming on. How are you doing today?
Dan, I'm doing great, thank you. Always a pleasure to be speaking with StockBox.
Excellent. So on Thursday, you released an update on your ongoing gold exploration at the Selta project. One of the key highlights was that surveying is now scheduled for early Jan over the Lander West gold target. First, can you tell us a bit about Lander West and why you've chosen to focus on it?
Certainly. So the announcement this week followed an earlier announcement we gave to the market in October, where we provided an update on FDR's gold exploration strategy at Selta. In that particular announcement, we discussed that multiple prospective gold targets had been identified following a targeted study. And Lander West was selected as a priority gold target due to the promising historical data reviewed as part of that gold study.
Great. So there's a fair bit of technical information in the release, but can you walk us through in relatively simple terms how these surveys work and what you're hoping to find?
Yeah, so the announcement this week, it pointed to the fact that we're going to be flying an aeromagnetic survey at Selta in early January. And an aeromagnetic surveys, they work by measuring variations in the Earth's magnetic field from the air. And using those variations to infer the type, structure, and alteration of rocks that sit beneath the surface. In mineral exploration, they're a key tool for mapping geology where direct observation is limited. So at Selta, we've commented previously on the fact that a large amount of the geology is outcropping, which is fantastic because it means as a geologist, we can go up to these different rock types, we can see structures, and we get a really first-hand view as to what's going on. Whereas in other parts of Selta, the underlying geology can be blanketed by sedimentary cover or by vegetation. So an aeromagnetic survey is a great way of seeing through that cover and therefore giving us a good understanding as to what's potentially going on below ground.
Got it.
So the surveys they're a really effective tool in gold exploration because they can, as I mentioned, they can reveal structures that could control gold deposition. You can use them to map rock units and contacts undercover. They can highlight alteration zones and they can reduce the exploration risk and cost because it means you can cover a lot of ground without having to have people on the ground, which can be time consuming in a large area. And all this work needs to be done to give yourselves the best chance of when it comes to drilling, putting the hole in the right place. So the key point being that aeromagnetic surveys, they can be used to effectively map structures from the air that you can't see from ground.
Got it. So do you know when you'll get the results for the survey, or is it a bit early to say at the moment?
Oh yeah, look, the data is effectively processed instantaneously. Obviously, the raw data will then have to go to our consultants who will take a look at it and provide an interpretive report. But essentially, we would hope to have the results of the survey, which will be flown in early January. Hopefully by the end of January 2026.
Great, and then those results will be used to inform the next steps you take with respect to gold exploration.
That's right, and as we discussed in previous announcements, this aeromagnetic survey is the first step of doing that large area survey from the air. That will be followed by a ground-based geophysical survey, which will hopefully refine potential targets further. That will then be that ground-based geophysical survey is currently planned for Q1 2026, and then the combined results of the aeromagnetic survey and the ground-based geophysical survey. The intention is that will inform drill targets, which we'll hope to take forward at the earliest convenience as well.
Got you. And just before we move on, are there any other gold targets other than Lander West in that area that you're focusing on in this round of exploration?
There are other targets, one notably being the Yundabulu gold target. However, in this specific exploration, it is Lander West that we're focusing on.
Understood. So alongside gold, you've also recently completed first pass rare earth element exploration at Selta, focused on 2 priority target areas, and samples have been submitted for analysis. Can you quickly remind us of the scope of the work you completed and what you were looking for?
Sure. So, yes, I've recently just returned from the Northern Territory where we were out taking stream sediment samples focused, as you say, on rare earth elements. And the target or the sample locations were based on historical samples which had been reported to the stock exchange or the ASX, which suggested there were elevated total rare earth elements within the stream sediments which had been sampled. Now, of course, that was historical data. It wasn't our data. So what we had to do was go out and effectively look to replicate and validate that data, or validate it and then replicate it on an increased density to basically help us refine where the source of that sedimentary samples originated. Because when you take a stream sediment sample, it's typically from a riverbed or a dried up riverbed, and as you can appreciate, what's in the bottom of the river is likely to have originated upstream. So by taking stream sediment samples, we can really isolate catchment areas, and then the next phase of exploration, should the stream sediment samples prove encouraging, we can then focus our attention on specific catchments and hopefully the source of those samples. So that was a rather long-winded answer to say that yes, we have returned from the stream sediment sampling campaign. We executed it as intended. The samples are with the labs, and we hope to get results early in Q1 next year.
Early Q1, and then again, those results will inform your next steps.
Exactly. It's always iterative, particularly when you've got earlier stage projects. It's always about increasing the confidence of what's potentially in the ground by doing multiple layers of systematic, methodical work, always looking to try to identify and isolate multiple coincident anomalies to a point where you can take them to a drill-ready status. That's always our intention, but unfortunately, there's never a short circuit in exploration. It's always about doing that, as I say, that systematic work. But we're effectively doing what we said we're going to do. We've come into the end of 2025. We've completed the rare earth element sampling campaign. We're now going to be looking to be flying the aeromagnetic survey for gold in the first week of January. That will quickly be followed by the ground-based geophysical survey, and all the while we're looking at increasing the level of confidence to take these targets to a drill-ready status.
Excellent. So just finally, as we move towards the end of the year, can you talk us through some of your key objectives for 2026? I mean, what would you like to see FDR achieve over the next 12 months?
Well, look, I mean, the FDR story has been a long and challenging one. We were delighted to get the company listed earlier this year. That was a huge milestone for the business. We very quickly turned our focus to putting money into the ground. Obviously, we had the unfortunate situation at the Walall drill, but we'd like to, as we've said, go back to Walall because we believe it's a really promising part of the world. So 2026, there's a lot of work that we're currently doing in preparation for our return. Equally, we as I've just mentioned, we've deployed capital into the Selta project. So I'd really like to take those targets forward by doing that systematic work with a view to trying to get to a drill-ready status at the earliest convenience, whilst at the same time looking at potentially bringing in new opportunities into the portfolio. Something which is a bit later stage would be fantastic. But it's just a question of just constantly looking for that way to generate shareholder value, Dan. So we're putting money into the ground. We always said we would, and the intention is to continue down that vein through the disciplined deployment of capital, but with a view to really trying to get the best possible outcome from the projects that we currently have in the portfolio.
Great. Exciting year ahead then. Thanks again for coming on, Tristan, and look forward to speaking with you more in the new year. In the meantime, have a great Christmas.
Thanks very much, Dan. Happy Christmas and all the best for 2026.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.